Good morning, everyone. I'm glad you're here in our first class on designing your own watch faces for the No.1 D5 smartwatch. We start promptly at 9, and it's 9 o'clock. No, that just happens to be when I started this video. You see this? This is code. We're going to get to that later. Right now, we're going to play. I want to show you some examples of what can be done when you start to dive into the code behind the clock skins. This is a stock clock skin that comes with the watch. You probably have all seen that. And it turns out this has been the one I've used most often, mainly because when I'm out and it's bright sunshine, I just like to catch the time, and I lift my arm up, and it's nice, big, white against a dark gray, and I can see what time it is. But other things that I like to know are like the power that I have left in my watch. I'm at 88%. I can barely read it right now, and in bright sunshine, you can't see that at all. So my first endeavor to play with these clock skins was to dive in and change this watch face. Okay? I'm going to show you what resulted, but before I get there, I want you to peek at another one. This is also a stock watch face that I thought was pretty cool. Right here. Simple, elegant, my hand's telling the time, and the second hand going around is a little wheel. Okay, keep that one in mind. Now, let's go back and show you what happens when you play with some of the code. Starting with the actual printout or actual file structure of the one watch, this one, that I wanted to work from. All right, here we go. This is the first edition. I removed the original gray background that had some lines and stuff on it. I created the power level in the same font size as the time, and I moved around the day of the week and the date. Simple, white against black, easy to read in the sunshine. This one works for me. But then I thought, all right, let's make it a little bit more fun. So remember the other watch face I showed you? What I did was go in there and pull out and implement that little second hand thing that was whirling around what used to be hands. Now we've got a digital clock face with an analog second hand. That was kind of cool. It is like, well, all right, can that be improved on? And actually, if you go back to the very, very first watch face, here, you have lines around the screen. That gave me an idea. Well, let's at least put minute markers at every 5 minutes. I keep not holding it long enough. Sorry, folks. So, keying off of that idea, from the first one to the second one to what became the third one, there's the integration of all three of those concepts together. And then finally, adding some hands, which got way too busy, but just for fun, here's the same clock with hands that are floating behind the numbers. I don't know if you can see that there, the shadowing. The hands rest behind the digital numbers. The second hand is still going. Anyway, that is how far you can take this stuff in just messing around with the code once you understand how the code works. What we're going to talk about today is how to create a very simple clock that consists of an hour hand, a minute hand, a second hand, and a background, like a picture of some sort. We looked at this one before. This is just a set of hands with nothing behind it. This was my first attempt, and that was simple by just taking an already existing watch face design that was simple hands over a nice background and pulling out the background file so that it couldn't find the background file when it tried to load up, and so it just replaces it with black. Hence, all you get are hands. That background file is called clockskinpanel.png, and you're going to see that that is the master file, and it has to be in the PNG format that will create the image, whatever that is, a clock face, a picture of your wife or girlfriend or husband or boyfriend, a picture of a sunset, anything. That is what will go in the background. Without it in the file structure, it'll just replace it with black. So, an example of where to go with this is this one. I decided to search the internet for images of optical illusions, and finding some fun ones, I just simply copied and pasted them into the folder that had been set up with the information for this particular watch face with these particular hands, and it became the background image. I think it was a JPEG. You just converted it to a PNG. On a Mac, you just open it in, what is it, the profile or something. Anyway, you do an export, and you can export from any format to PNG and drop it in the folder that contains all of this information, and now all of a sudden you've got this kind of a background. Or this one. Whoop. All right, let's talk a little bit about how you do this. You're going to need a file structure, and I'll get another printout for you. I'm a non-digital guy when it comes to this stuff. I'm creating a whole set of things for us to teach in this little mini course. We did the hands only. That was just simply pulling out the background file. Now we're on the simple analog design. Some of the core ones that come with the watch, these are their names. And I'll be working today with this one. And it shows you that these are the files that are in here. You have the clock skin hour. That's a PNG, a picture of the hour hand, all right? The minute hand, and the second hand. Then you have two other major files in here, the clock skin model and the clock skin panel. The clock skin panel is the background image, and when you press and hold, what comes up is the clock skin model. You'll probably create that one after you've finished everything so that you can try to take a screenshot, a picture of what it looks like to be used as the model. So when you slide across and you see what the image looks like with the hands on it, that's the watch face you'll have. If you don't have a model in there, it'll be black and it's awfully hard to know you're on it. There's another one. So let's break this code down very simply for you so you can walk through this on your own. The first line looks like this. I just copy it from an existing watch face if I were you, and I don't know a lot about what this means. I guess it says it's in the XML language version 1.0, and this is how it's encoded. But the whole thing comes about by little subsets. If you see, there's clock skin up here and clock skin down here at the very bottom. That constitutes the whole set of instructions. This is a clock skin that when it's completely compiled by the XML engine will make a clock skin. Within that you have segments, and they are called drawables. Each one of them is separate, and they just stack. And it doesn't appear to be in any particular order, although most all of the time the name is at the top. So you stick with the name at the top. The others look like they could be anywhere. Drawable / drawable, name / name. And in here is the name, the file name of what's going to be the background of the watch. All right? It's typically in a format of something _panel.png. Clock _skin _panel.png. Stick with the underscores, even if you're on a Mac doing this, and make sure it's in the PNG format. And this designation will be consistent with all of the other clock faces. Then you get into these drawability areas. We've got this first one, which we're going to save for later. Then you've got this one, and this one, and this one. And these are really simple. This is the hour hand. It's got name, and it's got rotate. So clock skin hour.png is the name you want to use for whatever image you choose for your hour hand. And you can just borrow these different pictures of hour hands from different folders of all the different clock faces, most all of which you can just get from the page 1 of the XDA Developers Form on clock skins for the D5. And pick what you like. These work out really well on these optical illusion type backgrounds. And so that's what I've dropped in here for the hour, the minute, and the second. The rotate says how fast will that move in a circle. The code 1 says spin this puppy around clockwise at the rate of 1 turn an hour. 2 is do it at 1 turn a minute. And 3 is rotated at 1 turn a second. You see how simple this is? Just those 3 give you all you need to do to put hands on a watch. This little thing here, and you want to be consistent more or less with it, this type, array type 99, is the specific code for putting the charging battery symbol on the watch. So when you put it in your charger, you get a symbol of a battery and the percent beside it. If you don't have this in here, when you charge the watch, you won't see that. So it's good to have that on every watch, but you have to kind of figure out where to put it so it'll look nice. And where you put it is defined by this axis information. Now, this stuff is going to get really critical when it comes to doing things with digital watches or other layouts where you want to put your heart rate or your pulse, or they're saying your steps, your actual battery power, all that kind of stuff. There's ways of doing that with these arrays, and you have to position them. Now, 0, 0 is right in the very center. Your x-axis is horizontal, and the numbers go up as you go to the right, and down as you go to the left. So this is set to be at -20, which means slightly to the left of center. That way it'll spread out and make room for the percent sign, and it'll look centered on the watch. The y-axis is kind of backwards. You'd think that up is bigger numbers, but it's not. Your numbers get larger as you go down. So 80 is putting it way down here so that the little floating thing for charging is going to be somewhere right here on the watch. -80 would put it up here toward the top. So you just start playing with these numbers as you're checking out what your watch face looks like when you load it back up and run it on the watch, and you'll get a feel for the positioning. That's all you need to know, folks. You need a good image for your background. You need hands for hour, minute, and second, and you want to put this little consistent thing somewhere on the screen so you can charge the battery. So your file structure inside of the particular folder is like this. Whatever you're calling it, and these are the default names that came with the watch, but you can name them pretty much whatever you want. Use an underscore if you're going to have a space in there. Make sure you have the hour and minute and second hand. Make sure you have the panel, and this is the file that we're creating here. This is an XML file named clock_skin. Okay? All that's done except for this one thing, and that's the model. I would suggest you duplicate the panel and make the copy of the panel the model at first. Okay, so you have clock skin panel, clock skin model. At least what you'll get when you load it up on the watch is a picture of your background. It wouldn't have the hands on it, but it would have that picture right there. And you'll know it's the right one, so you can touch it, and it then will open up with the hands on it. That's a minimum. But later, if you want to actually do a screenshot like I've done here of the background. Now notice that this background is rectangular and smaller, and it's not like what you saw in the other clock faces where they fill the whole thing out. It turns out these background images can pretty much be any shape you want, square or rectangular, and it will automatically center it onto your watch at a minimum of 360 by 360 pixels. If the image is smaller than that, it's going to cut off the top and bottom and sort of look like this. But when you load it up, it's going to be okay. Like here's another one. You see that? It truncated and filled the screen so that it's right from edge to edge. Because it's a round watch, it expanded it out. So how do you take a screenshot? That's one of the most difficult things to do, to get this particular image. There's no way we know how to do it on a watch. The way I do it, I hook my watch up and I connect it to the computer through MobiZen. And in MobiZen, there's another video on doing all that earlier in this series, or the previous series. With MobiZen, there's a button on the side that says take screenshot. When you do that, it puts the screenshot of your round watch in a folder called Pictures within the accessible memory on the watch. Then using the same thing, MobiZen, you can go into Files and you can export or upload that image file to your computer. Bring that image file, which will just kind of have a date and time, over, load it up and convert it from a JPEG to a PNG, give it the name Clock Skin Model PNG, and put it inside the folder for the clock skin name of the set that you're going to be putting on your watch. When you're done with all of that, you've got an active and working XML file. Now notice you really only have to write this thing once or copy it from somebody once. Everything else is just dropping in different PNGs, 4 of them basically, the hour, minute, second, and the panel. Well, and of course the model. Then every time you do that, you're going to have a basic, simple watch with a background, hands, and that's it. No date, no time, none of the other fluff. But as far as a very simple analog design, that will do it. All right? Now, I'm going to tell you, I'm not an expert in this by any means. I'm just fumbling my way through here. So if you start doing this stuff and your code doesn't work, I'm not really going to troubleshoot, with you over the comments. There's much smarter people out there to do that. And I'd rather spend my time trying to produce these and get these up for everybody. So fuss your way through it. I had to do that. A common error, I would save the file, and the file name, instead of coming out XML, if I tried to save as and give it another name, it came out TXT. So it was a text file and not an XML. Changing TXT to XML, you got to fuss your way through to make sure it works. I would suggest make any changes in a file name here if it's an XML, and you'll see other XMLs when we get further into this series on arrays, on adding things. But change the name, load it up in your editor, make your edits, and just do save. Save it right on top of itself, and then it's not putting any header stuff you don't see, perhaps, that makes the code not work. That's just one stumbling area. Other than that, enjoy this. It's really worth taking the time to fiddle around with these and come up with some really fun skins. I got a whole optical illusion set going, and you can come up with different hands. Like I got the glowing blue hands, right? Well, look at this one. This one's kind of subtle, but you can actually see the time against a very interesting background. And the images I just pulled off of the internet. You just search on what topic is of interest to you image-wise, and you can come up with some pretty cool stuff. Now later in the upcoming ones, we're going to talk about how you can add a numerical date I should have expanded that. Weather, the other little things that you can see on here, we'll add those things. Then we're going to show you how you can add the date in words and the day of the week in words instead of just in numbers. Then we'll show you how you can add the little small circles you see on some of the watch faces that contain maybe a wheel that shows you your power level. Okay, those are the topics yet to cover, and I have, check off that one, I know how to do that, check off that one, we just did that. I'm about here in my figuring things out, so I'll be doing this one pretty soon to show you how you can do that, and as I grow, I'll put up a video so you can grow too. Together we're going to have fun making watch faces that are very complex. By the way, with all that said, that you can do these designs, all of these you're seeing is using this code. Okay, that code with different hands and a different background. All of these are just the simple designs. So you can just go wild with it. Here's another set of hands. So I've got this one as an example with those hands. Anyway, the last thing I want to say is when we get done brute forcing our way and writing all this code, over in the XDA Developers Form, there's at least one person out there who's taken on writing a computer program that'll run on a Windows machine, which will actually do the layout for you. So you can just drag your parts around where you want on the watch, supposedly. I haven't played with it yet. Compile it and export it and load it right up onto your watch, and the layout will be clean. Really? Well, let me show you what one person has already produced. Oh, I got to show you these first. Here's my play with the digital watches. Check this one out. You know the one I was doing earlier where I had the time and the battery power with the date and everything that was just black on white, and then I had the little round circle going around? Look at it against that background. That came out of optical illusions. However, using a slightly different digital, I came up with that one. Yeah, I know the power level's really tiny on this one and the date's down there, but and this one showed the picture better. For me, this other one was more functional. Okay, I'm going to skip ahead and show you the last thing. One of the clock faces that was designed with the computer program that was just released today. All of these are new that you haven't seen yet. Where is that guy? This one. Now, if you can design a watch face like this with that computer program and it'll turn out looking like this, I'd say that's going to be something we're all going to be wanting to use. So if you haven't ordered your No.1 D5 watch or your K8 mini round watch, do so for sure. The K8, slightly larger, a little bit more pixels, 400 by 400. These are 360 by 360. Is also compatible with all of this. And as I understand it, a K9 out there might be very same innards at least, and there may be even a K10. So there's a lot of names coming out. Just make sure that it looks very similar to the No.1 D5 watch, and you'll be able to do your own clock face design. We'll see you again in the next installment where we talk about adding numerical dates and text and weather to the watch face. All right, thanks for watching.